So in today's video, I'm talking with Tony, an independent management consultant, as well as Ron, who's a contract program manager for the big banks in Canada. And we're going to discuss, was schooling required for them to get to where they are? Thank you for joining my channel, Leadership with Mike. On this channel, I help managers become leaders, and I do that with no nonsense sense, if that makes sense. So let's slide right into this interview and find out, do you need schooling? Like, really? So let me ask, so you both have a background in computer programming. That was kind of like your, after high school, this is where
I
I
don't
go.
have the pocket protector anymore.
You know? So let me ask you this. Tony, you touched on going back to school and getting courses. If you were to ask talk to yourself, end of grade 12 or OAC, if we're going to date ourselves, would you say, go into the computer programming, or would you say, go into something, get an MBA, go that route? Or do you think that schooling was required to get into that management leadership position? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. So to me, I don't think the path is the same for anybody and everybody. If there's anything I've learned through wisdom, not age,
Yeah, lumps and bumps.
Our paths and our journeys are all different. They're individual to us for the reasons that we are individuals. And so for me, it kind of worked, doing the computer programming, learning some logic and whatever. There was some benefits to doing that. But then because of my musical background, theatrical background, what I found I also tapped into was the empathic side. So, the buzzwords in the industry is, IQ and EQ.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was all very important. So, and the training into management, I totally believe that there's a lot of value in what I've learned. Like I said, I went to New York, I went to Cambridge, Mass, I went to University of Toronto as well to do some of these courses. And it just helped to solidify certain things. Because you can do things, by the seat of your pants, sure. And many people have and even succeeded, but having a bit of structure and being able to, put a program around it, to me, it helped me immensely, and I won't knock it.
Ron, what do you say?
Yeah, it's the advice I would give someone today is you're just really going to school to get your foot in the door.
Right.
So I'm not a big one on the the certifications, but I do believe in kind of your own personal development journey. Going really deep, I think, is extremely important. If you're going to do something, you figure out how you be the best at it. So, and I guess probably the second piece of advice is you never stop learning. So your school is done. And I think the biggest mistake people do is okay, I'm done. And they never pick up a book again, never take another course. And that's the biggest mistake. If you're going to, whatever you're going to do, so say it's computers or even, leadership or whatever that topic is, go extremely deep into that topic. That's what gets you into the top 10%. And once you're there, that's when you're making the, over the six figures, because it's assuming that's your goal.
Yeah, and I agree with Ron. Like, don't stop learning. I'm taking courses now. I'm in the middle of a course as we speak, because I think being a lifelong learner, I think it's important not to be just a bookworm, but to apply what you're learning.
Yeah, good point, Tony. Yeah.
I always like to ask that question because, I went to hospitality management. And I'd say within the first 5 years after graduating, I'm like, well, that was a waste of money and a waste of time. Now looking back, I met my wife my girlfriend who became my wife and my family, so not a waste. But looking back now, I'm like, okay, that kind of set a foundation for me to go into the leadership role, because the EQ and IQ, I worked in the restaurant industry for 17 years. You get high EQ. You can really pick up on what people are wanting for that hour that they're sitting with you. You learn, because I gotta survive on tips, so I need to know what's going to trigger, right? But the lifelong learning is where I've put a lot of my weight, and that's my wife. She's a teacher herself. She, university, college, and I'm more of the let's get the books that I know are, what I mean. So we kind of debate with our kids and stuff. What is the best avenue? So I really like hearing what other people think, looking back. And what's helped them. And I feel the what you said, the most impactful thing is lifelong learning. It's not a degree or a diploma or a certificate and you're done. Because once you do that, whatever job you got, you're going nowhere, in my opinion. Like you're stuck.
Yeah.
Right.
But I love
Yeah, it's because if you're not moving, so this is to me, there's some, you know, if you're not like growing at this point, especially with we're in the middle of this pandemic and whatnot going on, it's not that you're stuck, like you're moving back, because I think this is you have to be very intentional with, you know, the path that you're going and reaching out, making connections. Because if you're not doing that, you're really just, you know, moving backwards at this point.
Yeah,
I don't know if sorry, Mike. I love what you said about, you know, having those conversations with your family, because that's one of the things I've always taken pride in. I have two daughters, both adults and married now, and I have two grandkids, believe it or not. But so my one daughter has a PhD in immunology. My other one is a marketing communication specialist. But we talk about leadership, we talk about management and how it applies even in those different industries. And I learn just by listening to them. My nieces and nephew, I do the same thing. They're, you know, and it's so healthy, I think. You know, I don't know how it was for you growing up, but growing up at home, it wasn't the same kinds of conversation. So I think that helps them grow as individuals. And I find I'm growing as an individual.
Yeah. My household was very open. My parents were very young, but it wasn't business minded. It wasn't leadership, and you know, but it was be the captain of the basketball team, you know, get that starting five position and work on being a good person. That was, I think, for me, what my lessons in life were. Just be good, do your best, be a good person. I think it worked. My wife usually thinks it works.
You like a good person.
Yeah, I try to be a good person. No?
Now, before you click off this video, make sure to mark in your calendars January 8th. That's the day that Tony and Ron are putting on their free workshop, which is 5 ways to level up your career in 2021. You better believe this guy's going to be there, and I'm expecting to see a handful of you. Okay, I'm not expecting. I'm hoping that I'm going to see a few of you guys there as well, because at the end of the day, we're here to get more information on how to better ourselves and better our careers. This webinar promises to be just that. So I'm going to see you there. But before that, I'll see you in this video. You know what it is? Right after my coffee.